This is the movie manual.
The movie Man. You will.
My name is Viet. I am joined by Bryan, and we are going to cover Clueless.
Clueless. We are not clueless about Clueless. We were like spot on with Clueless. I feel like we did very well. I'm very proud of ourselves.
Knew quite a bit about Clueless if you watched our live episode where we did the reveal that we were going to be covering Clueless. I felt like you knew quite a bit.
I did. I felt good.
And even though I've seen it, like I said, I think I've seen it within the last 5 or 6 years or something like that. Didn't remember quite as much as you do.
Yeah, so just the way that my brain works, I can reconstruct things around like quotes I remember. I had a friend once tell me in high school, he was like, "It must be nice being with you because you can just like play a Friends episode like in your head," because I just knew like they just stick for whatever reason. Yeah, so it's good. It's good. I remembered a lot about that movie, and I remembered enjoying it, and I enjoyed it thoroughly again.
Yeah. We'll get to our thoughts on it, how we felt about it, and then we'll hook you guys up with a score. Stay tuned. All right, let's start it off. We like to begin this segment with just a synopsis. What happened in Clueless, Bryan?
So, based on Emma, Cher is played by Alicia Silverstone. She's a matchmaker. And really, like, is a romantic about things. A little self-serving. There are kind of 3 arcs that we found in the movie where she's first to serve herself in getting better grades. She tries to set up her teachers with each other because her theory is like if they are happy, they'll be a little more lenient because she's having trouble kind of fixing a bad grade she's gotten. Then there is the introduction of a new character, new girl to school, which is played by Brittany Murphy. She's Ty, if you remember her, red hair, curly hair, and that becomes Cher's project for like the second arc to kind of go through, and she sees how can I fix this girl. This girl's not asking to be fixed; she's just kind of new, a little doe-eyed, and isn't really sure of things. And Cher sees her as a project and thinks like, who can I set her up with?
Right.
Right. And then kind of the third arc, because she's basically trying to find happiness. It feels like Cher's trying to find happiness. So the last thing to do is to kind of her to figure out who she should be matched up with. So she kind of starts like thinking about herself. So it moves pretty linearly through those 3 things. There is a little overlap, obviously, but for the most part, matchmaker doing her best to help others, help somebody a little closer, and then finally helping herself.
Right. I think that basically covers it.
Yeah.
And does she ultimately help herself?
Yeah. Big time. Yeah.
All right. So for our next segment, we'd like to see how well did we do. With our review episode? We like to sort of go. What did we remember about it without having watched it yet? How did we do, Bryan? How did you do? Well, was it about the same what you remembered, or
it's just like me at the end of a game playing hero ball right now, and everything is going in. I feel like it's just just like everything is coming up swish right now for me. I feel very confident about taking the last second shot here. Yeah, it was as I remembered. I think a lot of the stuff, plot points maybe not as much. If I'm being honest, it's like. I remembered generally, what happened, but there were definitely like vignettes in that I remembered like exactly what happened. I know I was spot on about the wardrobe machine. I did not remember that it was a touchscreen.
A touchscreen.
She had a touchscreen for her wardrobe like picker thingy, like the
right.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Machine.
That walk where she's describing, she's got the new girl in school, she's the wizened person, and she's kind of picking out the different groups. Right. I didn't remember the names of them. What did she call them? The Smokies?
Right. It wasn't like your typical like high school. Like, it wasn't the terms that I think we were using. But
I think this was big even then. This was like it changed a lot of like. Slang,
right?
And things started, things definitely took and didn't take. Stuff has been recycled. Like
As if.
But Dope is like back hard. Dope has come back, and that was like I feel like introduced in this movie to me. I don't remember hearing it before then. It's Dope. Yeah,
It's dope.
Stop saying There was what else happened? What else were we spot on about? We didn't really talk too much about characters, and we remembered Paul Rudd. He was great, charming,
Yes.
as ever.
I knew I liked him, and he was definitely like he was such a good guy. And he was always like, oh gosh, I really don't want to help you. Oh, you asked twice. Okay, I'll drive out to wherever. I love how
The
like
Valley.
the Valley. Yeah, right. She was just like, that's not like which one, where at, or whatever. It was just like, oh, you gave me a general location. Click, boom, picking you up.
No cell phones. Yeah, people were using a Mapsco in this movie. I didn't remember that.
Incredible.
For those of you who don't know what a Mapsco is, if you're, younger than us for some reason, it's just this thick
You were.
book, because you were born late. It's this thick book, and, like, it's basically a grid into, like, think of a gigantic map the size of a wall, like, condensed into a book, and you have to learn how to use a Mapsco. But there's no Google Maps. They're like in the middle of the valley looking like, oh shoot, the map ends. I have to go to like I'm on page 42. I have to go to page 67 to like get to that quadrant next to it. So that was interesting to see how technology, I think that's a fun thing we like to do, is see how technology introduces itself. So they didn't have the brick phone, but they had, so we thought there was a brick phone. We thought they were using brick phones, like Zach Morris.
Yeah.
And they had basically like oversized candy bar phones.
Yeah, it's those Nokias.
But not like the cool Snake Nokia, like the like little longer rounded top with like a little antenna. So it wasn't a flip phone, it was just like a...
It was funny because I don't know. I know there were phone cases and stuff like that, and maybe I was just too young to really kind of pick up on how much we accessorized smartphones, or not smartphones. I'm sorry, just cell phones. But I think another thing was the fact that all of these high schoolers were having cell phones. Was very different. Like not a lot. I think there were a lot of adults that probably didn't even have cell phones.
Well, yeah, it was also like taking into account where this was, Beverly Hills.
Right.
Like I think one of the fun facts I read about it was she actually has a 90210 address.
Oh.
Like the house that she lives in, she has a 90210 address.
Yeah. One of the things, and this is kind of moving ahead to some of our thoughts, but you brought up the phone. We both kind of remember that I thought that they used like the ginormous phone, but they accessorized the phones, and it's very similar to the way we do it today. The way they had, she had a thing where like the phone was attached to her. It was like a lanyard,
yeah.
But she had one where it was attached to the hand, and like that's an accessory on smartphones now, a thing that just attaches the phone to your hand.
Like a glove, or what do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
It was kind of like this wrap, but like right now you have a thing behind your phone that you could.
Gotcha.
But it was like a wrap that like went like so that she could kind of stick her hand into the phone like that.
Interesting.
And I was like, wow, that was like very
that
is how we that's how we accessorize our phones now, and they were doing it back then, even though probably not a lot of kids had access to that kind of technology. I think one of the things that I messed up on was what was his name, Elton's character. I thought he played a bigger role in the movie overall. He just kind of like, he jumped in, and
there was an assumed quality about him where like, I feel like we should know who you are, and I know who you are because I've seen this before, but like there's a level of comfort that you are displaying that is not like equal to like your introduction into this story yet.
Right, like he was kind of like holding her like almost like a boyfriend, like multiple times before.
Which is like great because like even though the school has 500 people, like they're all in the same class.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And then other stuff that we remembered, like I didn't say this on, so maybe I can't actually claim this, but I definitely remember everybody getting together and like how the thing ended, and all that stuff was like pretty solid in the dome. All
right, let's move on. I think you were, like you said, you're feeling pretty good. Been swishing
flexing.
left and flexing your Clueless. That's a weird flex, man. That's a weird flex. Yo, Clueless. I know a lot about that movie. That's weird. That's a weird flex.
I was all over.
That's a weird flex. Let's talk about some of the some of the interesting things that you what were some of the things that you found interesting in the movie? Maybe some interesting themes or characters. What were highlights for you?
Highlights for me were definitely the dynamic between the groups, because Cher kind of famously does not date high school guys. She kind of says as much. I think she like literally says it in the movie. And seeing how there was still this tension and dynamic where it was you can see how it was confusing that she was trying to set her friend up while he was simultaneously falling in love with her. Right. I thought that was like, they did that very well. Like the movie was pretty clean, and like there weren't too many leaps aside from like a couple, what are those called when like they're when there's a mess up in something like continuity errors.
Yeah, you were pointing them out left and right though. You're pointing out left and right.
But yeah, that was the how well done it was, and like a lot of like really good actors that went on to do a lot of cool stuff. I mean, obviously the two main ones,
Rudd and Silverstone.
Rudd and Silverstone. Silverstone. Sorry. And then everybody else that we mentioned, there was Ty, Brittany Murphy,
right?
The guy who just fell off was Christian. I never saw that guy again.
Yeah. And we'll get to this. We're going to bring up some facts about the movies later, but some interesting, very famous actors auditioned for this movie. It sounds like everyone in Hollywood wanted to be in this movie.
They were all young, up and coming actors at that point, though they weren't established yet. It was 1995.
Right.
What were some big things in general thoughts for you?
Probably the biggest takeaway. If there were, everything about Paul Rudd is pretty close to how you're performing this evening in this podcast, like close to flawless. The one thing, man, who mayos the meat? You make a sandwich. And instead of putting the mayo on the bread, you put mayo onto the meat. Shout out to whoever stocked that refrigerator, because
that meat selection that came like straight off like what they were feeding the cast. Like that was enough to like, it was a house of 3 people, but it was enough to feed, I mean, my family, which if you don't know is 7 people.
Huge. It's huge.
It's big enough.
They go through like Gaston level of eggs to feed that family.
I mean, that's not even accurate.
That's just a snack.
No, that's good. Yeah, Paul Rudd. He was not even a diamond in the rough. He was very charming.
Yeah,
he was great.
Yeah.
Can't take your eyes off of him.
So the director writer Heckerling, she actually went to a high school in Beverly Hills just to kind of study the students' behavior, and what did they say? She wanted to make an authentic high school movie, and so like you were saying, using terms like dope, which is kind of cool in that it's kind of come back and is relevant now. Some of the other things I was hearing, bugging, whatever was huge. Something went bad. It was about to go ballistic. And then as if, and maybe this might be more appropriately filed under our interesting facts section.
Yeah.
But that she said that wasn't actually like a term that high schoolers used at the time. It was something that she discovered from the it was a term that was being used in the 90s in the lesbian community. As if
interesting.
But she just thought that it would
kind of
be
interjected.
like a cool thing.
Another. Are we in the facts portion of the show yet?
I think we can move there. Last couple notes. Shout out to Mr. Inconceivable.
Mr. Hall.
Teacher. Yeah. So,
Mr. Hall, yeah.
So charming. We also noticed that a lot of the teachers, or not a lot of the students, they varied wildly in age. A lot of them looked like they could be in high school. A lot of them most of them looked like they should be in college. Saw a couple 35-year-olds in there.
There was definitely like somebody's mom, or somebody's aunt, like Aunt Cheryl, was definitely in the background of one of those classrooms.
Right. The teacher that got married at the end was like 3 years too old to play one of the high school students. And then talking about things that they said in the 90s. Here's a 90s quote. "Oh, I gotta leave class. I left my Cranberry CD in the car."
That was Elton.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Did we get in the last the last movie that we talked about, 10 Things I Hate About You, we had a sweater vest count. Do we have an official count for the hats slash?
Yes, let me go through. I was keeping track. So there were, first off, there were too many hats. I think
way too many hats.
Way too many. There's a lot of plaid, a lot of hats. So I kept the hat count. Actually called it D and Cher's ugly hat count. I kept it to just D and Cher because there were a lot of like fantastic hats in the movie, and way too many. It was over 50, I would imagine. But there were 8, like just really like over the top. The first one was like, it looked like a bucket from Home Depot that was like like patent leather black and like another thing around with like a gigantic bow. It was like an Easter hat for sure. There was a couple of berets. There was like this like lace like get up. It was just like they were great. There was like a couple of Dr. Seuss bucket hats.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, was it like fashionable or like it was like Stacey Macklemore like went in the time machine back and like went shopping with Stacey Dash at like the local thrift store, like just got like a bunch of hats.
Oh, that was great. So yeah, the official hat count. So we did sweater vests, we did hats this time. I like that gimmick.
Let's see here. We got shout out to Murray from Scrubs.
Yeah,
he kept on jeeping around, which
jeeping around. He's like getting busy in a jeep. He asked his girlfriend if she was jeeping around, which that was a good one.
And also, if sexism wasn't cured by 1999, it sure as hell wasn't cured in 1995
at all.
That time of the month seems to be an easy way for a guy to dismiss.
Bodies are changing around that time, so it's very topical. I would feel like another thing that stood out. Cher is like a pathological liar. She's sweethearted, sweet-natured, but just like has a real fuzzy relationship with the truth. So, you know. That was one thing that stood out. I also had the humanities, maybe because you said that out loud. I didn't remember, like going back one segment. Yeah. I didn't remember her getting robbed. I remember her getting dropped off.
Yeah.
But getting robbed and like being upset that she was like, the most upsetting thing was that she was going to like ruin some Italian designers.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Question.
Yes.
So Cher's character, likable?
Like, yes, just because like doe-eyed, charming, very sweet natured, and I think she like nothing was done with malice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she was trying to lie to somebody. Right. Necessarily, it's not fair to say not for her own personal gain, but not for like at the expense of someone else. Like she was lying to like help her grades, or she was lying to like set up people in like, you know, most like specifically in the brain now is just she basically fabricated an entire relationship between the two teachers so that they would both take it easy on her and her classmates to give them better grades. So she was basically telling them things that neither either wasn't saying and pushing this thing down the road. So that's lying, but not like, and with the selfish end, but not to hurt them. You know? Yeah,
there seems to be like sort of like an innocence there. So the director for Clueless secondly wanted she wanted someone like an Alicia Silverstone to be likable. So she cast someone that that would be likable to the audience.
She didn't audition.
Yeah,
she did not audition.
Got that's just
being
like,
got the call. Just being like, I want Alicia Silverstone. Man, being the Aerosmith. Yeah, that was she was in the Aerosmith.
Yeah. But for so this was based on Emma, and when Austin wrote this character, she felt like this would not be a likable character. It would be kind of like a spoiled person that was sort of manipulating people for her own gain. And it was someone that she said that she wrote this character. She personally liked the character, but she didn't think a lot of people reading it would like it. A little bit different here in the movie. They cast someone that they thought would like it. I thought in a way, sort of like the way Rachel Green was written for Friends, was supposed to be someone that was kind of unlikable, spoiled, rich, but because Jennifer Aniston was such a likable, charming actress, you kind of ended up liking.
Yeah, they changed her character altogether. She was basically female Joey, and by the end, she was like kind of conservative. I mean, not conservative, but just like she was not the floozy that she was in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's interesting. let's get into facts.
Okay.
About this thing. One that stood out to me that I read about was she gives a couple different speeches in a debate class, so it's her job to go up there. The first one she is talking about Haitians and like being citizens of the world and helping them out and yada yada. The context or like
right.
doesn't matter. But she pronounced it Haitians or
Haitians.
What's the director's name?
Let me see her first name. I know her last name is Heckerling.
Heckerling basically liked the fact that it was an honest flub. Like Alicia Silverstone didn't know how to say that word. It was an honest flub, and Heckerling basically didn't call cut because she liked it and kind of let everybody know like I like this the way that it plays. It almost makes her more endearing and charming that she doesn't know this, but that she is sweetheart and cares about them. So they left it in as is. So she actually didn't. That wasn't written into the script. It was just she didn't know how to say Haitians or didn't know the word Haitians and said Haitians.
Right. My one little factoid for the movie was so we know that a lot of people auditioned for this movie. A lot of people that would go on to be famous. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar was reached out to, but she had like some conflicts. Reese Witherspoon was someone that was like looked at for that role, along with a lot of famous guy actors that were trying to audition for some of the guy roles. I think you were saying Jeremy Renner
was for was for the gay character for Christian, which is like in retrospect to see like Jeremy Renner has become like superhero Jason Bourne guy,
right?
To see like the kind of roles you just you need FaceTime, and they're truly like thespians, and they take the role that is delivered to them and they do the best that they can.
Right. So I found interesting. Actually, Paul Rudd wanted that role as well.
Did he really?
Yeah, he thought it would be kind of interesting to sort of play a cool. He was like, I thought it'd be cool back in '95 to play a cool gay guy in the movies. Yeah. And then when he didn't get that role, he tried to audition for Murray. And he was like,
so Murray was going to be.
He was like, I just thought it was like some hip hop like wannabe, like some poser.
Which he kind of was.
I thought it was.
Murray,
I thought it was written to be a white guy. I was like just some like wannabe poser, and it was like, no, we actually want him to be African American. So he was like, so obviously I didn't get that part.
Okay, so I have just a little question, just personally for you.
Yeah.
You get to recast. You're director Amy Heckerling right now.
Yeah. Amy.
You like Alicia Silverstone is not on the table.
Right.
You have your choice of, and these were people that were for this role.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon, Kerry Russell, and Tiffany Thiessen. Also, actually, only Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow, who actually went on to play Emma.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. More.
But the three, I'll go over them again: Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Kerry Russell, and Reese Witherspoon.
I just feel like Reese Witherspoon, just like with like roles that she played later on, Legally Blonde, and
totally,
just seems like is a natural fit.
It would have been difficult 2 years removed from, and I'm going to go back to Bayside High again, seeing Kelly Kapowski in another role. I just couldn't. Yeah. I could not have suspended belief to make that. Would have been a bridge too far. Others for the role of Josh, Zach Braff and Ben Affleck. That would have been like, I think Zach Braff.
Zach Braff? Really? It was gonna be like full on Scrubs.
Maybe that's how they met in the audition room.
Oh, that's possible. And then they were like, "Hey, let's. I got this idea.
Let's be doctors."
I heard medical degrees are hard. You got to do a lot of studying. All right, let's just act like we're not.
That's really funny.
All right, let's give some parting thoughts, Brian, and then let's hook these people up with a score. So, parting thoughts. So, what are some of your last something that really stood out to you about the movie?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I like that everybody. It's a happy ending.
Yeah.
For everybody. Everybody gets what they want. Ty ends up. We didn't really talk about Ty in that entire arc, but
right.
Ty, kind of like is pawned off on Elton at first, and then she kind of almost steals Josh, but ends up with Travis, who has been kind of mainstay throughout. And there's obviously, from the moment they meet, a very clear connection, and almost like, in spite of what Cher was trying to do, like that relationship navigated all of these turns and twists, and like right. in the end is like, no, they kind of seem like they go together, and they ended up together. Cher and Paul Rudd, I think in the beginning that was really foreign to me because I didn't understand the concept of like stepbrothers and like so it was a very weird.
Right.
Also, statutory rape. A little weird. She was 15.
What kind of Game of Thrones-ish there?
He was a freshman in college and she was 15. Yeah. So I don't know if they meant it that way, but definitely casually throwing that in there.
Yeah, R. Kelly territory. I'm trying to beat that.
And then it ends obviously famously, not maybe famously, like knowingly at the wedding of the two teachers who she sets up the first. So happy endings, I think, is what. It was a good movie with like happy endings for everybody, with a little question mark on Cher and Josh.
Right, little question mark. I think for me, the soundtrack was
actual no doubt in this one.
Actual,
not fake
no doubt.
I'm Just a Girl. I remember that played. Mighty Mighty Boss Stones.
I thought the way they did how they grouped the different high schoolers was unique. You had the Persian Mafia was a group at the school.
Shout out! So, only had to drive a BMW. Had to drive a BMW. And for me, I guess my parting thought was I just thought it was very clever. There was a lot of dialogue. I thought that there were a lot of throwaway lines, like almost like they would write a joke, and it was just kind of like talking, and there was a joke. And if you didn't catch it, that was fine because we're gonna set up another joke pretty soon. Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty well done, and I just thought it was, again, I loosely based on Emma, but really cool how you have sort of the social navigation of like kind of trying to meet up with rich, powerful people, maybe get yourself integrated into these parties, into this high society, and kind of playing that game and moving up the social ladder, and then taking that and putting it in high school and sort of like navigating that popularity like that game, like how do you navigate between groups of friends, and to where at one point this I'm forgetting his name. You brought his name up.
Travis?
Is that the
skater? Yeah, the skater kid.
Yeah, who's kind of like mocked by everyone, and they went to go see him compete. So I thought that was a clever way of sort of taking that theme.
And that's the thing about like kind of like real public high schools. These groups are a lot more amorphous than they are in these movies. It's not as clean cut lines like haves and have-nots, and there's a lot more like kind of like a social movement, I guess.
Right.
I guess the only thing left is to give our scores.
It's time to give a score.
All right, ready for it? On the reveal. 1, 2, 3. 5.5, my man. That's a full point difference.
5.5.
Ooh, 5.5. So you liked 10 Things I Hate About You more than this one.
I like 10 Things I Hate About You.
So we both went 6s last time, and we went a half point in either direction this time. So
still tied.
This might have been because I remembered more, so I just liked it because
it's your dream scenario. I'm just surprised you didn't go with a 7. Just go off perfect, man. You're so perfect. You know what?
Room for growth.
I was going to give you a perfect 7 out of 7 for this podcast. I got to redo my score for you, my friend. Only 6.5. Quickly tell our audience where can they find you on social media?
BBCARDUS at Twitter. Also on Instagram if you want to see like pictures of like Washington D.C. and my family, and like occasionally Texas.
No, they should follow you, man. It's a bunch of cute dogs.
Well, that's the company account. We're kids. Let's separate.
That's true. You want to see that DC Dog Runner?
Man, you can find me there too. That's the more corporate. That's the buttoned up Bryan.
Right. Come visit us at brosbros.com. You can follow us at brosbros on Twitter. You can follow me at FaceToFacts22.
There it is.
Right here. And and like we said, for our reveal episode, we're gonna try to start incorporating different platforms. Had some technical difficulties, unfortunately, for our reveal episode. Thank you for everyone that watched that and kind of included us in. I was talking for a while. I had a monologue. I had this entire intro about how you got mail was actually sort of a statement on fascism, but whatever. It's all lost now. Lost in the ether.
And thank you for hanging with us through this one. This has been fun.
Right? All right, guys. Until next time. Because we can edit this. Oh, I'm gonna keep that in.